What's the point? I'm here despite the odds. Greater men than me have fallen to lesser parts. Yet I've been blessed with a breath to be a pest and challenge every message that tears people apart. I question if I'm special, if it's mental illness that blesses me with talent but never gives me fulfillment. Eating me recently and my recency bias won't give me decency of easily reaching some peace and quiet. It's not required, this life I'm living will end very quickly, so I'd rather not waste it playing pretend. It's all relative, separated by time. What is mine but a blip, so why equip it with pride? I'm on my mind, but I'm in the world's conscience. Stuck here till I'm in God's office. I am only me, not my hardships. I will be better than I was, but I wonder what's the point? Tell me what's the point of it all, the point, I can't feel it. Dancing on the edge, I feel myself slipping. Tomorrow will be better, I tell myself. In this hell that I'm living, can't help myself. What's the point of it all, the point, I can't feel it. Dancing on the edge, I feel myself slipping. Tomorrow will be better, I tell myself. In this hell that I'm living, can't help myself. I try to understand, but people seem empty. Fake it till you make it, no wonder you're unhappy. I'd rather be a laughingstock rising in my work than be a part of something harmful that'll leave me feeling worse. Concerned in my family, hoping they can change it. Versus see the truth paint shadows on their faces while people chase attention, question my intentions. Living in a world that'll weaponize stresses. I don't understand it, nobody does. While we wander through this world and we suffer because we struggle for a point. Every day I'm annoyed. They say trust yourself, but always add to the noise. The hypocrisy, the irony, false modesty. It bothers me, the limitations of always being alive. I don't accept it, I change it with every effort. I ain't living forever or dying into the skies. Point of it all, the point, I can't feel it. Dancing on the edge, I feel myself slipping. Tomorrow will be better, I tell myself. In this hell that I'm living, can't help myself. What's the point of it all, the point, I can't feel it. Dancing on the edge, I feel myself slipping. Tomorrow will be better, I tell myself. In this hell that I'm living, can't help myself. What's the point of it all, the point, I can't feel it. Dancing on the edge, I feel myself slipping. Tomorrow will be better, I tell myself. In this hell that I'm living, can't help myself. What's the point of it all, the point, I can't feel it. Dancing on the edge, I feel myself slipping. Tomorrow will be better, I tell myself. In this hell that I'm living, can't help myself. What's the point? Back in 2020, as the world was starting to get used to what we were going to call the new normal, I made the decision to walk alone from my hometown of Brockton, Massachusetts to Florida. A 1,300-mile, 76-day trip. I took over 2 million steps. I learned a lot about the world. I learned a lot about myself and what it means to be a human being. One of my first real challenges on this trip was in Connecticut. I was on a bridge, quite large, over an even larger river. And behind me was a huge storm, and it was gaining on me. The storm was so intimidating with deep, deep gray. And as the telephone wires shook around me and the shimmying of the grass and the leaves got louder and louder, I felt something inside of me I'd never felt before. Something very primal. And my body, not my mind, but my body told me, get inside, get to shelter. I'd never felt something like that before. Because there was no one out here. If something happens, I'm on my own. And it made me realize, despite all of our innovations, our social medias and our fast cars and our internets, at the end of the day, we are animals. Disclosure, high exposure, you low stock. Your facade got more crack than a stovetop. You especially catch this wreck as an enemy. You only here for checks, I got bigger bets for my legacy. I am the weapon, sharper tool of discretion. Hours of dedication, I am the spirit God. Survive or laugh, they mock me while on the path. It's jealous inside this fact, I watch whenever I'm on. Speak wrong, get moved on. I proved I'm not one, you chickens can roost on. Fell from bruised bones, torn blinds and abuse from. Sick minds twist till minds yell and do something. See the test to the smash that nearly made me a vegetable. Stronger than depressed, the test of life is incredible. Fighting till the next to your head bleeds. Either you continue or you die in a stampede. Make your choice. till I burn through the seams of non-believers. Eat all the rush from the keys and take my freedom, break the clutches in the pitiful hands of my deceivers. I am my demons, they give me reason to talk to. Offer weapon, I do whatever I want to. Prep the coffin beyond wine to talk it out. Lockers filled with secrets, I'm getting eager to air it out. Keep testing me, press the buttons that shake the cage. Mad at my behavior when I was trained to retaliate. I don't need your validation or acceptance. Give me effort in your honesty or miss me with your presence. Heavy is the burden of seeing life and you face it. Make it what is yours, what you can't make, you take it. This is your life, you have the power to shape it. They play me mind cards and I changed it. Changed the love. Out there on the road, eventually you don't have anything to distract you. There's only so much music you can play. There's only so much podcasts you can play. There's only so many audiobooks you can listen to before those tools don't work anymore. And eventually, you're going to hit a place where you don't have internet access, so you can't use those things anyway. I'm someone who prides himself on being as emotionally aware as possible. I want to make sure that what's happening inside of me doesn't affect the world outside of me. But without distractions, I realized that I still had things inside of me that I didn't realize I had pushed down. Things that I was still dealing with, that I was trying to ignore by distracting myself with things like work or fun and other entertainment. And out here on the road, where the only thing that you have to keep you company is the sun, the road, the trees, and the pain coursing through your body, you can't run from those things. And when I finally had to face them, face a childhood that wasn't easy growing up, it wasn't a perfect place to be, I realized I had seen some things. Screams, them doors off, them blue lights not far off. My pop screams, he pops off, he breaks it, he goes off. Treats us like he hates us, we see him, he sees us. Discuss, can't discuss, no harsh truth is on us. Too young, worlds fall apart so far, too harsh for the way I'm. Too young, can't move a wall, that's all they tied to the takedown. I watch them sing with these things they think and their patience thin. They blame the money, but loving us was not play to win. So they gave us the way it's lost, some of us stayed, now we in cages. Bitter rage, all that we had, we let it change us. Play the stage, always afraid that you would hate us. Little punks, we couldn't stomach the dangers. Made us suffer, you pull us under for favors. It's always something to goalpost. Gaslit, you back shit, you move those. Now you're old and alone, those four walls you call the throne ain't a home. Scoring hate and blaze, the shame etched in stone. As days moved along and all your kids gone. Now you live with what it is, each choice a drop in the bucket of what we lived. Now you live walked through over 150 towns and cities on this trip. Some of these towns were so small that they had a population of less than 2,000 people. For context, Brockton High, where I went to high school, has over 4,000 students. At one point, it had 6,000 students before, those pesky fire regulations were a thing. Some of these towns were so small that the post offices were no bigger than a one-car garage. They were tiny. But these were good people. And even though these towns were sparse, even by pandemic standards, these were good people. The kindness that they showed me was like nothing I had ever experienced before. It made me question a lot of things. They say that travel is the death of prejudice. And I didn't realize I had this kind of I didn't have this kind of prejudice in my heart. You see, the things that they showed me, the things that they gave me water. They gave me soda. They gave me food. They offered me rides. People of all types. And it really made me challenge my idea of things. You see, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from the Northeast, where if someone is trying to give you something, a lot of the time, it's because they're trying to take something of greater value in return. But people were so nice to me. Statistically, not all these people are going to be serial killers. They don't all want to hurt me. That wouldn't make sense. One woman pulled over. She had her 93-year-old mother with her, and she gave me Kit Kats and sandwiches. One man drove to Burger King and back and gave me a whole bag of food. Soda, still with cold ice inside. I'd never experienced something like this before. And so for the first time in my life, with optimism, I asked the question, are we going to be okay? To the man behind the curtain, curving us to be the worst of us, lurking behind the person, nurtured through hurt and the dirt, the concern, the sore and worsens. Get a job and go to work or die as a feeble person. I'm needing more of it in the war for my morals. The world clamors to kill you, but what I built is immortal. No values to an animal, behave that way if you wish. Me, my meals in the middle and scraping scraps off my dish. I've seen it all, the merciless never fall. It's not the size of the beast, but the fight in the dog. The world is not for the weak, eat you without a problem. Strong is something to be, a defeat is all that'll follow. To be a man is bigger than how you feel. You raise yourself to be bold, both sword and a shield. The beauty of the flower that grew from blood in the field. Intoxication of power, they take it wasn't real. Beauty unmatched in your prime, you're a light ray to the blind and the sun place you. Make a heart heat as much as it beat. Never retreat from those who try to defeat you. We protect with our lives, I love you. I raise flags, but they can never be above you. I'm one step away from space when there's no space between us. I'm high as hell. I'm high as hell. In a circle of kings with black crowns, no take with no weight like MP3 downloads. Aim to be great with faith, I make mounds though. Patiently wait, I wake and make mine grow. Back of the mind, you still and can't be here. Walk towards the problem, solve them, don't feel fear. Fear through the crossroads, on go, on cargo. Don't have emotional baggage, I have cargo. What's it worth to you on the surface you waiting? Inside I stay impatient, I want a home and I'm making every choice possible, manifest what I'm saying. So the layers come together like free food after praying. Thank God. It's all energy, brush strokes. Remember me, cut quotes. Identity fixed broke. I'm working. Feeling free, I am if I'm alive. The gift and the curse, you can't cage the mind. Every day I walked an average about 20 miles a day. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but always miles. And one day I had to get between point A and point B, but there was a very, very large distance in between. You see, I didn't walk at night. There's too many dangerous variables. Animals, thieves, cars not being able to see me when I walk. So I just avoided it whenever possible. So I came up with the bright idea to buy a bike. And I go to the store and I buy a BMX bike instead of a mountain bike 'cause I'm smart. and a helmet that was too small for my head, as most helmets are, because your boy got a dome piece on him. So I start my ride and I continue. And instantly I hate it. I have no lateral movement. I feel very unsafe. And by this point, my body is tuned for walking, not bike riding. But I continue. And eventually, I encounter a storm that made the storm in Connecticut look like a wisp of wind. We're talking about gray into black clouds that blot out the sky. And if anyone has ever been down south, you know their storms are not like ours. They're very, very different. But by this point, I'm feeling brave. I'm seasoned. I'm a traveler. Let's do it. So I ride and I continue. At one point, there's a huge farm in front of me, about a mile or two of nothing but green. And then I ride right into this storm. And the rain is so thick, the field in front of me disappears. I can't see the road. I can't see traffic, nothing but rain and water. So I pull over, and in a panic, I tear my water sleeve, which is protecting my backpack. So now rain is getting into my clothes, my food, and my electronics. Much to my shame and embarrassment at the time, I couldn't stand the fact that I panicked, and I ran under a concrete arch near a nearby school until I waited out the storm, berating myself. I shouldn't have left today. I knew I shouldn't have left, blah, blah, blah. Eventually the storm passes, but the storm is also traveling south along with me, so now I have to slow my pace of riding so I don't ride back into the storm. Now I'm fighting the clock. Now I'm fighting energy. And in the confusion of the moment, I forget to remove my rain gear. So now, among all of this, I'm suffering from heat exhaustion. Later, when I took off my shirt and I wring it out, about 3 or 4 bottles worth of water pour out of my t-shirt. But I continue. And I continue riding, and I get past snakes and vultures and all manner of creatures. I ride through abandoned towns, but I continue. I go through towns where people give me dirty looks, but I continue. Until eventually, night has already fallen, and I'm on the last stretch of highway about 2 miles out from my hotel, and my phone is dying. So I take my phone out, and I put my phone over me to have some light so that cars can see me because this highway has no street lights. So now 10% battery. I still need it for GPS. I still need it for light. But I continue. I'm exhausted. And I mean exhausted. I get to my hotel. It's open, but everything around it is closed. So what I have for dinner after this arduous journey is 1 Snickers bar and a tiny cup of Chef Boyardee. That's all I had for dinner. I stay in this hotel for 3 days because my knees won't bend. They won't bend at all. I have to shimmy my way the next day to the local chicken spot to get some food. A walk that should have took 10 minutes takes over 20. But I did it for the chicken and the biscuits because your boy needs to eat. See, a lot of us, we spend a lot of time in our heads. And what ends up happening is that sequence of imagination layers on top of itself until you don't exist in reality anymore. But what hardship does is it drags you back down to reality with crashing force. And that's why it's so surprising when something crazy happens to you, because now you have to face the reality. You're not in here anymore. But hardship shaves away that weakness. And before today, I had been walking around like a zombie. I didn't realize that before today, I had already been dead a very long time. Like the worm to the fly. Change lives from my stages, 1 verse at a time. Grow my mind, stay patient at a pace at a side. Try to savor what is mine while my legacy grows. What hurts me is the journey, I'm enjoying the show. Daring little foes pop up and they try to tempt me. Cause the mission cold and they know that their lives empty. Come on! Rise to no higher I can get. Building up my power that I feel with every step. It's blood, sweat, and hours, but it's always been like that. I've been dead for a bad minute, dead for a bad minute. Rise to no higher I can get. Building up my power that I feel with every step. It's blood, sweat, and hours, but it's always been like that. I've been dead for a bad minute. I've been a struggle through others, I know it's possible. Topple opposition, my top position unstoppable. Handle with the weight, feel the hate when you say to me. Turn it to a focus, I turn it all into bravery. Jealous off the fact that I carry you off my back. When they left me for dead, I stood instead and I'm back. Many men stand at the nexus and don't decide. Wonder why they ruined and never next to arrive. But a rival, more than a torn or broken idols. See it never dreams of where to be as they drown slow. Why though? That's the question, chase the purpose. There's more than human beings than what we see on the surface. Come on! Rise to no higher I can get. Building up my power that I feel with every step. It's blood, sweat, and hours, but it's always been like that. I've been dead for a bad minute, dead for a bad minute. Rise to no higher I can get. Building up my power that I feel with every step. It's blood, sweat, and hours, but it's always been like that. I've been dead for a bad minute. At the end, you can never decide. Do it now while you feel the power burn inside. Learn to match struggle, grow away from the challenges. I am no different, I suffer from my imbalances. But while my balance up, raising the bank, I only get it how I got it when I change how I think. See, I came a long way from being sick in the sink. From dying to a giant, put myself from the brink, I'm still here. Rise to no higher I can get. Building up my power that I feel with every step. It's blood, sweat, and hours, but it's always been like that. I've been dead for a bad minute, dead for a bad minute. Rise to no higher I can get. Building up my power that I feel with every step. It's blood, sweat, and hours, but it's always been like that. I've been dead for a bad minute, dead for a bad minute. Rise to no higher I can get. Building up my power that I feel with every step. It's blood, sweat, and hours, but it's always been like that. I've been dead for a bad minute, dead for a bad minute. I know not everybody has the privileges that I have to be able to make a journey like this. I understand that. But my hope is that you don't define yourself solely by the ability to solve problems or not. You are not a calculator. You're a person. You're a human being. You have intrinsic value. And if you don't believe that you have any value, let me present this to you. At any point during your day in life, you can go out and you can cause hardship and pain and trouble and negativity to potentially thousands of people. You can be a force of negativity, which means the opposite is also true. You can be a force for good, positive. You can make people's day all the time. So how can you look in the mirror and have such power to influence the world around you and tell yourself that you're worthless? They're contradictory thoughts. They can't exist in the same space. They don't make any sense. That's a sickness. It's trickery, a disease of the mind. You do have intrinsic value. You are worth it. 10 days out from the end of my trip, and I am exhausted. I can't take the food anymore. I can't take the sun anymore. And I'm at my limit. But I continue. And I'm getting more and more tired because I think that I'm starting to develop COVID symptoms alone out here on the road. And on my birthday, of all days, 5 miles away from the Florida line, 5 miles from finishing this trip, I end up in the emergency room. And the ambulance drives me away from the final line. And while I'm in the emergency room, they ask me what happened, and I tell them I couldn't breathe. Every time I lied down, I felt like I was drowning. No matter what angle I slept at, the drowning feeling got worse and worse. I was so desperate to sleep that I ended up leaning against the corner of my hotel room trying to catch a nap, but the feeling wouldn't go away. And then the anxiety kicked in, and I called the ambulance. When they ran their tests, they did their blood panels and everything. They did their x-rays on my lungs to see if there was any scarring. There was no problem. There was nothing there. And with no life-threatening illnesses present, the hospital released me from the emergency room at 3 in the morning. At 3 in the morning, they let me out into the world. I am 5 miles away from Florida. If anybody is familiar with Florida man memes, I may be in danger. This is not a safe place to be. I never walk at night for many reasons. But I go because, to be honest, I'm so tired. I'm just over it, and I want to get it over with. And I walk, and at 3 a.m, it's already 86 degrees. Thunder is lightning is pouring out of the sky. Thunder is rumbling. I can't see anything. And at one point, one man flags me down and says, "Hey, look." And I look over, and there's another man asleep behind the wheels, the back wheels of his Ford truck. And his truck is on, and the driver's side door is open. I don't know what's going on. I yell as loud as I can to try to wake the man up. The other man who flagged me down walks over towards him, and I walk away from the situation because it looks like it's being handled. I walk back to my hotel room from the hospital. And when I get there, I can't check back into my hotel because I'm already checked out, but the clerk is nice enough to let me catch a nap in the lobby. She even gives me breakfast, which I was incredibly grateful for because the day before, I couldn't get any food down. I couldn't eat anything. A few hours later, I leave the hotel for what will be my final walk of this trip. After some time, I take a left onto what will be the final stretch of highway on this trip. For 6 months, I planned this trip before I left. For 6 months, I thought about contingencies and any number of problems. And every day I looked at a picture. You see, between Georgia and Florida, there's a little blue bridge that separates the states. And I looked at this picture almost every single day. I visualized myself crossing it. I thought about it. I saw it in my mind's eye for over 8 months. And when that little blue bridge, when that little hint of blue appeared in the tree line, I lost it. Something inside of me collapsed. It just collapses. And I cry, tears streaming, pouring down my face. And one of the things that I just kept saying over and over and over again was, "I'm sorry." I was apologizing to myself for allowing myself to be treated a certain way by certain people, for disrespecting myself, and for perpetuating the cycles that had been pushed against me, against myself. I was sorry for harming and disrespecting myself. And my best friend who passed away, I said I'm sorry because I felt like I had let him down. And I cry for a quarter mile. And there's still traffic passing by me, cars going. So I take my wide brim hat and I pull it over my eyes, not because I'm embarrassed or ashamed, but because I don't want this moment to be interrupted. I don't want this release to end. And eventually, I cross the bridge. I see the Welcome to Florida sign, and I jump with as much force as my knees will allow, which is not much, and I slap that sign. And then I go home, a different person than when I started. "76 days, over 2 million steps, over 1,300 miles, 2.5 months, and it was a 3-hour flight back." When people say the words, "I know," they do know what they're supposed to do to change. They know, but fear gets in the way. So I hope that the next time you say, "I know," you say it with no fear. Struggling just to eat, struggling just to be. How is this justified? We say it's how we compete. Until their life is yours, then suddenly you can see what it is for the poor, hungry and weak. While the storm trashes the mass that can feed a school for a week. Some of my neighbors mask, but none of them ever see. Most of them never last, they die before they compete. Chorus of painful woes, memories in the screams. No one has enemies, the man I kill is just me. Self-hatred, the motivation that poisons the given tree. The fruit is bare with weight that crushes you underneath. But what can I say? I'm a part of what I see. I'm both the Inferno and Dante, complete. And my disciple, a student of the stone. From the sidewalks that I travel to emotions that I've shown.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I don't get it, so much of this pain is optional. Is this the best we get? Is this humanity optimal? Praise nobody stopping you, apply with psychopathic. Love watching the trauma of a bitch whenever we have it. Seek approval from losers who always lie to you. Tolerate mistreatment and fill the hole that's inside of you. Reenact offenses and take it out on the world. Pain is universal, we feel it from boy to girl. It's a world war inside of your heart. And I can understand the hardest part is the start. I know from where you stand, your being is torn apart. But one step collected with effort will get you far, so begin now. Oh, you doing big things now. Oh, you see the real world now. Don't be mad that you failed. You got high enough for a way down. You should be proud.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Still alive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Much love, much peace to you guys. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, do not make permanent choices off temporary situations. My name is Manny Gray. You can find me on Instagram at Manny Gray Music. That's Gray with an E. You can find me on YouTube at Manny Gray. That's Gray with an E. If you'd like to see clips and little footage from the stories I told today, just go to YouTube and type in The Walk, Manny Gray. That's Gray with an E. Much love, much peace. Thank you so much for your time. I had a great time. Be safe out there. Bye. What's the point? I'm here despite the odds. Greater men than me have fallen to lesser parts. Yet I've been blessed with a breath to be a pest and challenge every message that tears people apart. I question if I'm special, if it's mental illness that blesses me with talent but never gives me fulfillment. Eats me recently in my